Hello, it is Tina from Swallow Mosaics here, and I just thought that you might be interested in seeing a little section of my lilies that I've been working on. And I'm near the end now, and I'm just filling in this area on the left hand side, and I've just been preparing some pieces, more than I normally do at one point. I'm not really quite sure why, but I did, and I'm just going to whip them out and put some adhesive in, so join me as I do it. You can see I've got a mixture of colours that I've been using for the background. So this one's blue, and then I've got pink. They're all pale colours to give a nice soft image. This one is an aqua green. I've got very little of it, so I've hardly used it. But it works beautifully against the colours of the stalk and the leaves. You see I'm laying this out really carefully so that I know exactly where each piece is meant to go when I want to put them back in again. I'm nearly up at the bit that now has already been stuck down. There we go. Okay, so they're both stuck, you can see there. The adhesive is cement-based adhesive. It holds its shape. It's based on cement, but cement by itself is really more like a filler. It doesn't actually have any stickiness. But this version has had an adhesive added to it, which is what makes it the adhesive, as opposed to just cement. And also why it's called a cement-based adhesive. This particular product is actually sold as adhesive for wall and floor tiles, but of course it works absolutely brilliantly for mosaic. So I'm creating a little bed of adhesive here. I do like to make sure that I get it right up against the pieces that are already stuck down, because what I don't want to do is to end up with dark holes and recesses where it looks like there isn't anything. With this technique and material, the glass that I'm using, it's called Smalti, you don't fill with grout afterwards, which means all the gaps are not going to get filled in. And that's because this kind of glass is traditionally laid in a bed of adhesive. Very traditionally it would be a lime mortar, but the process is similar to what I'm doing now. And the pieces will be stuck close together, and then the adhesive is allowed to squish up in between the pieces, which is what I've done. And then you don't need to grout. Now, one of the main reasons for not grouting Smalti is that it's got a very interesting interior structure. It can have holes, it can have ripples, and when you cut it, you expose these features. If you grout it, if there are holes in it, those holes will get filled, and I can see a little tiny one. The camera may not pick it up, but this piece here that I'm tapping with my tweezers, there is a little tiny hole there. The grout would just make it look dirty, whereas this style gives it a really lovely finish. What I do need to do is to make sure that I always push the pieces in enough so that they grip. Now, some of them are bigger than others, which means that those pieces get pushed in deeper and they will displace some of the adhesive, which is handy because some of the shallower pieces need a slightly thicker bed. Smalti is beautiful to work with, and it's just the most amazing results because of the way the undulating surfaces catch the light in so many different angles. Drawback though is the cost, and it is expensive. So one way to make it go further is to cut it, not just the shaping, but cut it laterally as well. So for instance, here's a piece that hasn't yet been cut, and ideally I would be able to just shape it and then use it, but in order to make it further, I shape it up from this surface, but then if I cut it that way as well, I end up with two pieces, so obviously it goes further. But it does mean that I need to be careful when I'm laying it, that it is fully embedded in the adhesive. So thicker pieces like the one I'm putting in now is very easy to ensure that it's nice and safe because it's big enough, it's got a lot of its footing in the adhesive. But the little white piece next to it is quite thin, so I just need to be careful that it is actually embedded sufficiently. Trying to get the last piece in. Felt like it fitted with gaps when I didn't have the adhesive, but of course that's because they were sitting in slightly different positions. Once you put the adhesive in, they start gripping in different directions. Okay, so that's looking good. I've brought the adhesive further down than I needed to, so I can scoop that out. I'm also going to just clean up in between. I don't want the adhesive showing on the surface. I'm more than happy to be able to see it if you look down between the pieces, but I don't want it actually at the top. I can't clean this up completely because it's still very damp, so it doesn't necessarily come away cleanly enough. I'm able to get some of it off, and then what I'll do is return to this section once the adhesive has cured and dried off, and I will then be able to use a little brush to clean up thoroughly. After 24 hours, I can clean it carefully with a damp brush and persuasion. After 2 days, the damp brush isn't enough. The persuasion is losing its charm. And then anything beyond that, and it's just, well, you're kind of stuck with it. So these bits will be completed in tidying tomorrow. On camera you won't see a huge difference to what you can see now. It's close up is when you can really see it. So that's it. I'm going to switch off and finish the rest. Bye for now.